You're tuning into the Unarmed Podcast with your host, Krystal. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Unarmed Podcast. You know, I think we're all well aware that we're constantly being tested in this life. And the way that we choose to react to those tests is very telling of ourselves. I believe that we are in desperate need to hear the stories of those who were torn down but stood right back up. The stories of those who did not have an easy road back, but they sure as hell kept moving forward. And the stories of those who continue to struggle, but they turn those struggles into lessons that they learn from. My next guest is a man that I continue to be motivated by. And it's not just because of his story and the road that he's taken to get to where he is today, but it's because of the genuine ass person that he truly is. He's a man that will never sugarcoat the truth, and he's a man that's not afraid to share the struggles that he faces. So today, I bring you the owner of CrossFit Watchtower, CrossFit Level 1 staff member, Adaptive Training Academy staff member, and co-founder of the Revelry. I think I'm saying that wrong, Kevin.
That's right. You got it.
Revelry Project. All right, guys. So this is Kevin Ogar. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Krystal, thanks for having me. And you pronounced that perfectly.
Okay, I was a little scared there. I thought I wasn't. So, I mean, I know your story. It's a pretty fucking popular story.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's probably a lot of people who still aren't aware with what happened. So, if you don't mind, why don't you start off with your story, what happened, and what led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I was a competitive CrossFitter for many years, few regional appearances, stuff like that, and was competing in a fitness event, not a CrossFit event, but a fitness event in California, and someone made the decision to stack bumper plates behind where we were lifting. And so I went to go bail a barbell backwards. It ricocheted off the plates behind me and hit me in my back, paralyzing me between T11 and T12 instantly. So went through 2 surgeries, had about a 15 or less than 15% chance of surviving those surgeries, and kind of came out the other side and have been working towards adaptive fitness ever since. I guess that's the brief version of it.
Right, the very brief version of it, but it's the version of it. So the you said T11 and which other one?
T11, T12.
T11, T12. So how far down is that? Is that like right below your hips, a little above your hips?
It's pretty much right at my hip bones, maybe slightly above. I do have some hip flexor function and lower ab function that's below my injury line, but yeah, pretty much right at my hips.
All right. And so I know you also just said, because a lot of this of what you're going to tell me is probably stuff I don't know. It's like I said, I knew the basic story. It's a very popular story. The video is everywhere. Is it still out there?
Yeah, it's still out there. I mean, when you get paralyzed live across a worldwide live stream, it gets a little bit of notoriety, I guess.
Right. I mean, I was scared as shit to watch it. Like, I did not want to watch it. I was like, you know what, just suck it up and watch it. I just wanted to see what happened. I didn't want to so much see you getting hurt. I just wanted to see what had happened.
Yeah. I mean,
and it killed me.
I mean, I was there. I know what happened, so I've never actually seen the video.
Right. Do you want to?
No, I was there.
I don't need to see it. So you said that both surgeries that you went through, there was a 15% chance of you living.
So even with just the level of injury, like a T11 complete spinal cord injury, you have, I think, like a 20% chance of surviving the injury itself. Mm. And then with my first surgery is what's called a spinal thoracotomy, which means they basically tore my left side open, pulled out all my organs, and had to go in through the top to realign my spine.
Wow.
So I had like pretty much all my organs sitting on a table next to me. My lung was deflated. And they had to move my spine inch by inch back into alignment. And it took, I think it was like a 9 or 11 hour surgery, somewhere in there.
Wow.
And you lose so much blood because your body cavity is just sitting there open that most people just die from blood loss or lack of oxygen from blood loss. So I think there's a associated, depends on where you look, but I averaged it out. It's about 15% chance. Some places say 18, some places say 9. So.
Wow. I had no clue that's how intense it was. But look at you, you're still here.
I'm pretty hard to kill.
Yeah. They tried though.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, after my accident, I saw it as, I was left here for a reason. Is that kind of how you see it as well?
Yeah. I mean, I think the first thing I said to my dad after I survived my first surgery is he was pretty broken up about the whole thing. I think one of the first things I said to him was like, hey, I was put here. God has a plan for me. And so the reason I'm not dead is to fulfill that plan. So let's get at it.
Right. That's so awesome, man. And I know that your journey back was not an easy one. Like, I'm fucking blessed after hearing your story. Like, my fucking arm was nothing compared to what you went through and the road leading back to where you are right now. So kind of explain to me, because a lot of this of what I'm about to ask, like, I don't know. I don't know the actual journey of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when you come out of the hospital, how far after that did you go back into not training, but I know you had to have gone through rehab and stuff like that to get things going again. So how far after the surgeries did you go back into it?
I was in a hospital in California for 11 days. I think about a week after my last surgery or a week after injury, I asked for a wheelchair and started getting up and moving around. And then I got transferred to Craig Hospital on the 11th day, and honestly started kind of training and working out from there. Rehab at Craig Hospital for 6 weeks. But about a week and a half after being at Craig, almost 2 weeks, I started kind of, I wouldn't say sneaking out. I wasn't lying to them about where I was going, but kind of sneaking out to go back to my CrossFit gym and work out with my friends.
Wow.
Just knowing me and knowing kind of like my personality, I knew I needed to be around my people, and I knew I needed to work out.
Right.
And they were having me work out at Craig, but it was like lat pull down machines and like rickshaw dip machines and just all these different things that just weren't fun to me and didn't really hold my attention and really didn't.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I just started doing my own thing.
And all right, so be honest with me. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if you know this about me, but I did have my moments right after my surgery. I know I cried to Daniel and I was like, how am I ever going to fucking have kids? I didn't know how it was going to be possible to have a kid and raise a kid with one arm. I sat there and I cried just thinking that all my life up to that point, I had lived a certain way. Mm-hmm. And that completely fucking changed in an instant. So did you ever have any of those moments, or it was straight up, fuck, I'm still here for a reason. Let's just get back to it.
Oh no, I for sure had those moments. I mean, I probably still do have those moments some days where I'm like, what is going on? Why is this happening? Why am I still here? Stuff like,
Right.
And I always tell like newly paralyzed people, like those days where you have, especially for me, where I'm like, this is stupid. I hate this. Like, I don't know how I'm going to figure this stuff out. Like, why am I even dealing with this? Like, I feel like, especially on a road to recovery, those days are necessary. Like, I had nights where I bawled myself to sleep. Like, it's just, it's going from someone who was always very athletic to someone who couldn't even sit up to brush his own teeth. It was a rough challenge. So I had like good days, bad days, just like everyone else. But at the end of each day, it just came down to like whether or not I was going to let that bad day influence the next day, I guess.
Right. And that's what it's all about, man. You can't let that one bad day dictate the rest of your life. And I think that's a big reason of why you are where you are today. So after this accident, you were in a relationship. Yep. So you were with Jess. So why don't you I know we talked about this before. I wanted to talk about it before just to make sure that you were okay with it. And after you explained everything to me, I just thought, you and I both thought that it was pretty crucial for people that might be listening, that are in the same situation or about to be going through the same situation. This is important for them to hear because shit like this does happen.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and talk about, your and Jess's relationship and how that blossomed after the accident.
So me and Jess were together for about 7 years before I got paralyzed, and then we were together for about 3 years after I was paralyzed. We just recently split January of 2018, and we were just kind of a couple of kids that got together. We moved out to Colorado together, and I guess perfect honesty here, like we didn't have a super solid relationship going into the accident. Like I was really busy and focused on, and to be perfectly honest, very, very selfish, focused on trying to get to the games. Like that was the only thing inside my head. And so that really put a damper on a lot of our relationship stuff.
Right.
And then I got paralyzed. Like my whole view on things kind of flipped. Like going to the games was no longer important to me. It was no longer like a goal. Just, it was, I realized that being the fittest or the fastest fitnesser wasn't really that big of that important to me.
Right.
And so our relationship got a little bit better because we got to focus on things, and I had some downtime, and then, it just came down to it that we discovered that we're just better friends than we were in a relationship. We were just really good roommates.
Right.
And not really in any kind of romantic relationship, which was good to discover before it ended up turning into like a hateful relationship. We're still friends. She still watches my dogs. She still guest coaches at my gym from time to time. Like we're still on good terms. And so it's not anything that was bad. It's just, I think eventually, I think she was around in my life for a reason. I really needed someone who was hard nosed and wasn't going to worry about me and let me kind of struggle through things to become who I am. And
right.
I think what she did, like if I wanted a glass of water, I had to go get a glass of water myself. She wasn't going to get up and get it for me because it was hard.
Right.
My chair, she was going to let me get back in my chair. It didn't matter if it was hard. So I think I really needed that. And she, bless her heart, she went through a lot of really horrible and weird and just painful stuff to help me through it. And, so I'll always be really thankful to her for that. But we weren't there as a couple anymore. So we split.
And I know with me right after the accident, like I've said it once, I'll say it again. I lost a ton of fucking confidence after the accident. And I think a big part of that, because there was a point after the accident where Daniel and I were very shaky. We had a lot of fights. We had a lot of fuck ups. And I think a lot of it was because I was very insecure with myself now. And so any little fucking thing that I may have misread, like in a text or something that I found, like I blew it out of fucking proportion because I was so self-conscious about myself. Were you ever like that? Did that ever take place in y'all's relationship?
Yeah. I mean, I actually tried to break up with her a couple times when I first got out of the hospital because I didn't want her to have to go through a lot of the stuff she ended up going through. And she was pretty solidly there for me. I was pretty, I don't think it's a secret that I have a little bit of a temper.
Right.
And so and it's never with other people. It's always just frustration with myself. And so having me get out of the hospital and having her there through probably the most frustrating part of my life, hopefully the most frustrating part of my life, anything more frustrating, that's going to be yikes. Right. But having her go through that and having her see me throw little temper tantrums and launch my chair across the room or cuss and scream and we never really fought. I'm not a big fighter. I don't get into arguments, heated arguments very often. I'm pretty even tempered when it comes to discussing things with people. But yeah, I would say for sure there is some times and some places in our relationship where why would she want to date some guy in a wheelchair? Why would I can't, it's hard. Not you can't, but it's really hard to do the whole kids thing. It's really hard to do the whole marriage thing. This is a life that's really, really difficult, and you don't want to put someone you care for through that. So a lot of that seeped into our relationship, I feel like.
Right.
So, and that's probably not a big part, but a pretty sizable part of why we ended up just becoming friends more than anything else.
Right. And it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. I don't know. It's what life is. So we'll move away from that. We got that in. I'm more than sure that Jess was a part of your motivation to keep going, because I know that you said she was constantly there pushing you to go get your glass of water or whatever it was that you needed. What are or who are some other things or people that kept you going, or was it just yourself that just said, I need to do it, I need to get on with life? Was there anybody else that may have motivated you, or anything else that may have motivated you?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I talk about this a ton. Like I feel like I was put on this earth for a very specific purpose. I feel like God put me here and literally raised me through my childhood to be prepared to be paralyzed, to work through this stuff. It's too many coincidences growing up of things that I had to deal with and went through, and that really kind of set me up to be able to survive this accident.
Okay, hold on, because that's really fucking interesting right there. Like, give me an example of what you just said. Like, what were some of the things that like weren't like, because you just said you were set up
Yeah.
to, and I fucking believe in that too, man. I fully believe in that. But after you just said that, now I want to know, like, what's something that wasn't a coincidence? Like, oh yeah, that definitely fucking prepared me for this.
Well, I mean, I guess the easiest one to kind of illustrate is this. Like, I always grew up with a higher red blood cell count than most people. So my red blood cell count was quite a bit higher than average, to the point where when I would go give blood, they could actually take twice as many red blood cells out.
Wow.
as normal. And so like having that many red blood cells, and then actually moving and living in Colorado for as long as I did and getting injured in California, made it to where even though I lost a lot of blood, my body still had enough oxygen not to die.
Wow.
I had parents growing up that always got me to look at the brighter side of things, or like this could always be worse, or worse, or really instilled in like looking at the positive side of stuff. So I had the exact parents I needed to survive, and to teach me the lesson that I needed to survive this accident. You know, I got into lifting when I was 12 years old. So, my bone density and upper body strength were high enough, and my interest in fitness was high enough that when I got injured, I mean, the doctor said the only thing that kept my body in one whole piece instead of literally being ripped in half was that my back muscles had been so overdeveloped for so long that it kind of just held my spine held my body together. So, I mean, like, there's just small things that kind of look small by themselves, but if you start adding them up, it can't be a coincidence, and it can't be something of chance.
That's fucking powerful, man. I had never heard you say any of that. That's super fucking powerful. Like, I love that, because, you know, a lot of people that may be going through some shit, they would never see it like that. Never. But you do see it like that, and you don't see them as coincidences, and you do see that, you know, everything is happening for a reason. I'm a huge fucking believer in that too. Everything happens for a reason. And one of the first episodes I did was talking exactly about that. The same with you. I had parents that raised me a certain way that helped me prepare for that day. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
And I think the motivation comes from this. Like, I was always taught growing up that this life is not our own. Like, this life is given to us as a gift. God gives it to us as a gift. And my parents put all that time and work into me. Like, what kind of jackass would I be if I, didn't take that gift and to do something with it, and then take all the time my parents had put into me, because I was kind of a shithead kid, and wasted that, So like, to me, it's been always one of those things, like, if you're living your life for someone else or something else, I don't know, I feel like people do better that way. When you're living selfishly, I think it'd be really hard. I know I wouldn't be able to do it. If I wasn't living my life for God's plan or for my parents, I don't think I would have survived anything. I think I would have given up a long time ago.
Right. Amen, man. Amen. And there's one thing, I mean, I've always loved you. I've told you that time and time again. I've always loved you. I love the person that you are. And I don't know if I've ever told you, and I'm sure you remember when we were at the CrossFit Games. I don't even remember how many years ago it was, but it was the one in California. Mm-hmm. And we did the adaptive athlete, like, I don't even know what the fuck you would consider it, but we did a workout on the tennis stadium. You remember that day?
2015.
Okay, cool, because I don't remember what year it was. Yeah. But I specifically remember, I always tell Daniel about this, and I always get fucking choked up when I say it, because it shows the type of person that you are. We were in the elevator, or was it an elevator? Yeah, we took an elevator. Am I right, or am I thinking wrong? We took an elevator. Okay, yeah. Okay. So we were in the elevator, and then you either said it on the elevator or you said it in the tunnel. I don't remember where, but you said, I've worked all my life to get here, right here where we are, and I finally made it. And it wasn't like, oh, it fucking took this accident to get me on this fucking stadium floor, like this is what it took. Now I'm here. No, no, no. It wasn't that. It was, I'm here. I made it. Not because of this and this and this. It just in general, I'm here. You did work hard and you did make it. You didn't see it any differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I remember that day exactly. Like that was, I mean, I spent 6-7 years trying to get out on that floor and, worked really hard. And, to be able to go out there at all was dream come true for me. It was pretty powerful for my life. So
right.
Like I remember that exactly. It wasn't, I don't know. It was one of those things I never thought about it as like, I've never actually thought about it that way. I never thought about it as like the accident is what got me out there. I just thought about it as like I was finally there.
Well, exactly. And that just proves the fucking person that you are and the way that you think. And it's the reason why you're here now. You own a fucking CrossFit box. You're doing all this amazing stuff. It's because of that mindset. And I always took it like that. Like I went home and I told Daniel, I was fucking bawling my eyes out. I was like, oh my God. And so I love that about you, man. I always have loved that about you. So obviously after your accident, like you fucking blew up in the CrossFit community, like big time. And it was for good fucking reason too. And I think after that, you started getting really involved in other things. I think one of them was Barbells for Boob, or was that something that you were involved in beforehand?
I was involved in beforehand with them. I was an advocate of theirs for a few years before I got hurt.
Okay, so tell us, a lot of people don't know who they are or what they do. So tell us a little bit about that, because I know you're very heavily involved with them.
So Barbells for Boobs, they're a phenomenal organization. So I met Z, who's the founder of it, in 2010. And so they're an organization that provides funding for breast cancer screenings for men and women who can't get their insurance to cover it, which is any woman that's not anybody who's not a female in the age of 40 to 61. Insurance just won't cover it because they don't think breast cancer happens outside that window, which is stupid. And so Barbells for Boobs provides like mammograms and ultrasounds to get tested because they believe that everyone has the right to know whether or not they have breast cancer.
Right.
And they also now have a RAD program, which is Resources After Development, that actually gives resources to women and men who have been diagnosed with breast cancer to kind of give them like, hey, here's what's happening to you. Here's what we think you should do. Here's some resources for you to follow, as well as like lifting programs so they can stay fit and like, modules on how to recover through exercise, through CrossFit, through lifting, like just really a really cool organization that does a lot of good for our community. And so I've always been a big advocate of theirs. And when I first got hurt, I was out in California with Z and the whole Barbells for Boobs crew. And so they really they literally shut down their operation for a full week and came up with Ogar Strong, with logos, with the website, and basically put all of their fundraising efforts towards me for a full week, which was, not anything that they needed to do, something that they actually wanted to do to help out. And it was
right.
Amazing. I woke up from my second surgery with, them having raised like $300,000 for my medical bills and whatnot.
Wow. I had no idea it was that much.
Yeah. I mean, it was worldwide. Like my brother and sister were sitting there watching donations come in from like Japan and Germany and Australia and South America and like all over the world from their efforts. And so it was a pretty powerful thing to wake up to. And it was one of those things that kind of like jabs you. Was like, yeah, dummy, here's your purpose. Here's what you're supposed to do. Like, look at all these people who are supporting you. Like, you got to do something with this.
Right, exactly. And that's awesome, man. I had no fucking idea. $300,000. Wow. So after that, so going back to after the accident, obviously you trained your ass off. You worked your way to get back to a level where you could compete again, and you did start competing again. In that whole adaptive world. I don't know how you fucking feel about it, but I think you know how I feel about it. Yeah. So you came back to competing, and then I know you did the competing, and then you kind of made a switch and you started going towards the Paralympics. So was that switch for a reason? Because I kind of went and tried to do the same switch too. Unfortunately, I broke my foot. I never fucking went back to training for the Paralympics again. But was that switch for a reason? Because I don't know if you know or if you don't know, but after my accident, I trained so fucking hard that I did more damage to my body than I could have ever done. And it wasn't until recently that I had Joaquin that I had to make a mental switch for myself that it's like, all right, you're done showing off. That's
Yeah.
enough of that shit. You fucked your body up. Let's make a switch now because we want to be healthy for the rest of our fucking lives, just not for the here and now for a fucking Instagram post. You know what I mean? Was that, I know you probably never went through the whole social media thing like I did, but was that something that happened to you too that you were like, all right, I need to slow down here, or what happened there?
I just at that point when I kind of stopped, quote as I tell Stouty and Alec, retired from the competitive CrossFitness. It wasn't for anything. I still love the sport and I still love the CrossFit stuff. But it wasn't in me to train that hard anymore. Like I didn't want to train 4 hours a day. I wanted to train like 30 minutes to an hour a day and enjoy it and give back more to my members and focus on something that was actually important to this world, not just important to me.
Right.
The whole Paralympic thing, funny enough, I'm pretty obstinate. I don't like being told no, and I don't like being told I can't.
Me.
So it's a pretty big drive for me. So I actually went for the Paralympic stuff because I was told that I would never be able to do it. That CrossFitters can't get strong enough to compete on that level, and that CrossFitters can't do this. And I was like, okay, game on, time to go. So I never actually stopped CrossFitting, and in fact, that was part of it. It's part of the I wouldn't say arguments, but discussions I had with the coaches. Is they're like, yeah, you train to CrossFitting. I'm like, well, I'm healthy and my numbers are still good, so like, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing, and it makes me happy. So, yeah, so it was more or less just because I was told that CrossFitters couldn't and that I couldn't. So I was like, all right, well, let's go.
They're pretty funny in that way. You know, when I started, they got me because of CrossFit. They're like, I can work with what she's got. And then the minute I started training, they were like, you can't do CrossFit. I was like, oh, okay.
Same.
Funny. Yeah, that's so weird though. I mean,
yeah, and I think it just comes from a lack of understanding and a lack of knowledge what CrossFit really is. I mean, they see the Instagram posts and they see the games, and I think they think it's this sensational, like, Instagram only type of fitness thing. And it's sad because the GPP produced by CrossFit, I think, is widely beneficial for any sport and any, like, especially for Paralympic powerlifters. I think all of them should be doing some form of CrossFit. I think it decreases injury. The only time I ever actually got injured or had some kind of injury or setback while I was training for the Paralympic stuff was when I stopped CrossFitting. They asked me, they're like, at this point I had developed a pretty good relationship with them. They're not bad people. I don't think they understand CrossFit.
Right.
So one of the coaches asked me, like, sincerely, like, can you just try not CrossFitting for a little while? And so I was like, yeah, you asked nicely. It wasn't like a, hey, this is stupid, give it, like, stop it. It was more of like, hey, let's see what happens. And I didn't do any, like, my regular CrossFit workouts for like almost a month and a half, 2 months. And sure enough, like, my elbow started killing me. I developed tendonitis in one elbow and like an injury in my other elbow. My shoulders ached. Like, I just felt horrible. And then I finished that trial run and it said, I'm not doing that ever again, and go back into doing CrossFit, like smartly programmed CrossFit workouts.
Right.
Surprise, I'm down 8 pounds. My bench is heavier and my elbows don't hurt.
Right. Yeah, it's like you said, they just don't fully understand it yet. But whatever, we're not about to start a fucking scandal here about the Paralympics. So let's talk about CrossFit Watchtower.
Yep.
When you started that, why you started that, and kind of where it's at now. If you started it because of adaptive athletes, or you just started in general, tell us about that.
I actually, oddly enough, had very little physical impairment knowledge prior to my injury. So most of my background is more in like psychology of coaching, more like mood disorder background
Mhm.
type stuff. I just kind of got shotgun blast to the face with the adaptive side immediately when I got hurt, and so kind of ran with it from there. But I opened my gym in 2015 out of necessity, actually, because the gym that I had helped build and run for the last 6 or 7 years shut down. And I had spent, I'd coached 5 to 7 classes a day for 5 or 6 years
Wow.
building that community.
Mhm.
And I just didn't want to see it disappear or dissipate, or this amazing community that we had brought together, like, lose each other. So um, I am very fortunate that CrossFit and Greg and Dave and all those guys gave me a chance to open this affiliate and keep that community alive. And we kind of just ran with it from there. That was never my goal to be a affiliate owner. That was not anything I ever, in fact, pre-injury Kevin, or even like slightly post-injury Kevin, if you had talked to me about owning an affiliate, I would have told you no.
Right.
Um,
It's hard work.
it's a lot of work, but I
Mhm.
saw the necessity for it. And then once I opened it, I saw the chance that I was given to make this place, this fitness place that didn't focus on elite athletes or elite fitness. It focused on the functional fitness side for everyone. And so, now almost 4 years later, we have classes with, wheelies and people with missing limbs or CP or MS or TBIs or any, like, all in one class with able-bodied individuals who may just have some aches and pains. And it's one community. And we have people who are, recovering from addiction or recovering from mood disorders or trying to turn their life around after, like, losing themselves after getting out of the military. So we've really kind of built this haven for people who truly need fitness and need fitness more than just to look good naked.
Right. I think that's another part of the reason why you were meant to stay here. You were meant to open that box because you want to help people. It's like you said yourself, I don't want to live this life for myself. I want to live it for others, for a purpose. And I think that's exactly what you're doing because a lot of these people, you don't even have to be a fucking adaptive athlete. Anyone, like you said, veterans or people just going through a tough fucking time looking at the mirror at themselves or different situations, they need an escape. They need somewhere to go. And what better place to go than somewhere where you're working on your health and having fun doing it and having this community with you. I've always said that CrossFit saved my life. Like, I went back there because I knew there was going to be a community of people that were going to be supporting me. That was something I look forward to every day. I still look forward to it every day. So you did a
Yeah,
good job with that, man. That's what you were supposed to be doing.
that's what I think too. And I've always said, like, CrossFit's cool. The workouts are awesome. You'll get in shape, but you could do those in your garage by yourself and get the same fitness level. Like, that's not where the power of CrossFit comes in. The power of CrossFit comes from the community of people that you're around, and maybe not the people you see every day. Maybe it's just people, like, when I started, we didn't have these large communities of people. Like, my community was Facebook. Like, I was in a Facebook group with people that I'm friends with to this day that I talk to consistently about training and about fitness. And they refer me or adaptive athletes to me, and then I refer people to that. Like, it's just the amount of care that's in the CrossFit community, I don't think can be found anywhere else.
No, I don't think so either, man. It's super fucking powerful. That's the best thing about it.
Like look at the top athletes. I mean, you've met a bunch of the top athletes. I've met a bunch of the top athletes. I've never really met any of the top athletes who were assholes.
Right, right,
Like, they're all nice. At least, they all, like, understand that they're fitnessing for time, and that like, the top ones I know understand that they're fitnessing for time, and that it's cool and everything, but it's not the end all be all.
right,
And
right.
I don't think you see that in other sports. And I think we're seeing that a little bit now with some of the maybe that wild card guy that's coming in. I think he's a little bit different from everyone else. Not that he's a bad dude. He's super fit, and I can't wait to watch him. But
Right.
I don't think he has. I think people are upset not because he's in, but because he doesn't have that attitude of, like, selflessness, that
Right.
there or like gratitude or down to earthiness, if you want to call it that, that the rest of the top athletes have right now.
Right. Yeah, it's very weird. It's hard to keep up with it now.
Hmm.
Ever since they changed everything, I've kind of just I'm not with it as much as I used to be because it's just so fucking hard to keep track of everything now. I don't understand what the fuck is going on.
I'll be honest with you. I have watched 3 events in the last 4 years at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, it's kind
It
of
just,
rough now.
I don't. They're cool. They're super fit and that's awesome. But I don't care about someone who has 17 muscle ups getting an 18th muscle up in a row.
Right.
I go out to the CrossFit Games to be in the community and be a part of that community and be around those people. And, you know, when you go out there and you get a chance to talk to someone who comes up to you and says like, hey, like I thought I was done with fit. I had a lady last year. She's like, hey, I thought I was done with this stuff. I have a really severe drop foot. I thought I would never be able to do what I love again. And like through you guys in the adaptive community, I've kind of figured out how to get back to doing like snatches and cleans with drop foot.
That's awesome.
It completely changed your life. And so when you get out in the community, you get to talk to those people. Like that's cool. That's awesome. Like,
well, that's what it's about.
Matt Fraser winning for the 12th time in a row is cool. Awesome. You're a freak of a human being, but it's that lady that's the cool part.
Right. I was in St. Louis this past weekend and I was with Natalie. You know Natalie, right?
Yep. And you guys are in my hometown.
No, shut up. Really? You're from St. Louis?
I grew up in St. Louis.
Ah, I had no idea. Wow. Well, anyway, we were there. We were with First Form and we went to Gold's because I've never been to a CrossFit gym with First Form. We always go to like a Gold's or something like that. So we were at a Gold's and I was like, all right, we can do something with some dumbbells and stuff like that. So we start working out, just her and I. And then after we were done, this girl approaches me, and everybody in the fucking Gold's gym was there for First Form, whether it was an athlete, an influencer of First Form, or someone that had just bought tickets to go to that Summer Smash event that just happened this past weekend. Yeah. And this girl walks up to us and I didn't even fucking notice until she said something, but she came, she introduced herself, and then she looked at Natalie. She's like, I was watching you do lunges. How do you do that? And I was like, what does she care, you know? And then she kind of looked down at herself, or her whole fucking leg was gone. She like her entire leg was a prosthetic. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, I would have never noticed that had you said something. And I was like, Natalie, that's all you, man. Like I don't know what to do there. So she started showing her, you know, how she started doing lunges. Natalie, you know, has more leg than that girl does, but she still showed her a way. She had her go up against a wall, put her hand on a wall, and from there go into a lunge. This girl started doing perfect fucking lunges. And I was like, that's what this is about. That's exactly what this is about. It's this moment right here. It's not about the fucking fittest on earth or anything like that. It's getting these people who know nothing about what to do. You help them out a little and they're doing exactly what they hoped they could do, what they dreamt of doing all along, and they had no idea that they could probably even fucking do it. That's what it's about right there. That's what CrossFit is about.
You know, and I've been super happy with the changes that CrossFit's been making, all of them, from the games to the training department stuff. Like Greg's just coming back in and been like, you know, cool, let's refocus on the people who need it. And, you know, like, yeah, a lot of these changes have been hard, and I've watched a ton of my friends like lose their job. And that's been a little bit rough, but all of them have bounced back better. Like I haven't talked to a single one who isn't doing better because they were given the free reign to do a few different things. And I don't know, man, refocusing on the people who actually need it instead of focusing on the people who are already fit is a no-brainer to me. Like that story with Natalie, like that's cool. Like that, like you just changed that girl's life, not just because she can do lunges now, but like that's going to lead her to learn how to like walk upstairs easier or get in and out of something easier, or like not have to ask for help for the 1 millionth time one day, which is going to put her in a better mood. Like that's powerful.
Right. Yeah. I loved it, man. I got super fucking, because you could see the pure joy and shock in her face when she was doing them. Like she probably thought all along, I can't do lunges. I can't do lunges. And there she was doing lunges. Like we were recording her. She put it on her Instagram. She was so fucking proud. She had every right to be proud. That was everything, man. And I think more people need to see it like that. It's not about the numbers or anything like that. It has nothing to fucking do with it, man. Once you realize that you need to switch it to more of a lifestyle and you need to be able to do this fitness thing for the rest of your life, then things will start changing for the better, even better than where it's going right now.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing some change, like not only in the fitness community, but like medical communities realizing they're wrong about a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Like we have T6s, T4s, and T2s doing ab mat sit-ups.
That's awesome. You were doing some sit-ups the other day.
Yeah, I mean, I can do ab mat sit-ups. Like we were told in the hospital. Like I was told multiple times that you won't do sit-ups. You can't sit up that way. It's impossible. And you know what it came down to is that people tried once, failed, and never tried again.
Right.
Well, luckily we have the crazy asshole that is Chris Stoutenberg. And he's like, no, let's try 1,000 times. If after the 1,000th time it doesn't work, we're going to try a couple more times.
Right.
Just kind of keep hammering this stuff. And so he figures this stuff out. And so now, like, the sense of like independence and functionality that was given to me just by learning I could do a sit-up, or given to like a T4 that learned they can do a sit-up, is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it changes your world from something so small. And so I think what we're seeing from people like you and Natalie and the rest of the adaptive community is that we're trying things that we were told we couldn't do because people tried and failed, and they only tried once. And so now we're getting these crazier people who are trying again and again and again to try to figure it out because we just don't accept that we can't.
Right.
And we're developing, we're changing the way that these injuries are looked at.
Yep. Amen, man. All right, let's get away from that. We're getting a little deep here. Let's switch it up because I really want to talk about this too. This next part is really important. Let's talk about the nonprofit that you helped co-found.
Mm-hmm. The Revelry Project.
Yes. Go.
So the reveille in the military is the wake up call. Like everyone knows the horn blast, the do 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 do.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
It's called the reveille. It's the wake up call.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, so we founded it with one of my best friends, Ryan Foster, who was a Marine, served a few tours overseas, got blown up twice on his first tour. Kept all 10 fingers and all 10 toes, but came back with what Marines call a minor traumatic brain injury, which actually isn't a thing. It's just considered a brain injury, a traumatic brain injury. But Marines are, special. Alongside that comes like neck issues, shoulder issues, behavioral issues like drinking, fighting, just being a general weirdo. It's not the life he wanted. He walked in, luckily, again, I don't believe in coincidences. He walked into my gym while I was coaching and, wanted to talk fitness and wanted to talk nutrition. And we became really close friends really quickly. And we would just hang out and talk about things for a while. And he started noticing that through like getting better at double unders, his reflexes would get better. Like he wasn't dropping things anymore. He noticed that through cleaning up his nutrition, he wasn't like having the same bad thoughts through his mood disorders that he used to. And so he just kind of started turning his life around and remembering things better. And it was huge for him. And so he came in one day and he's like, I want to help more vets. Originally, he was going to do some weird clothing line. And then we decided that to help vets more, we should just get them to do what he did to turn his life around, which led us to develop what we call our 4 pillars of a full person or a whole person, which is, fitness, to nutrition, community, and faith. I think through those 4 things, you can get yourself through a lot. And so we started building a program to get people fitness, nutrition, community, and faith, mainly through CrossFit because of how powerful we've talked about the community being. And so what we came up with is we now offer scholarships for veterans who have mood disorders and physical disabilities. And we supply for a full year. They get membership to a CrossFit gym, monthly nutritional counseling sessions. They have access to 4 physical therapy sessions within that year, access to that whole CrossFit community. And then we also, give them a little nudge, get them introduced to people like Faith RX or, community action projects in their area, or just, some way to give back.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I think a big part of this, like that's super extremely fucking helpful. But I mean, coming from personal experience, not that I'm a vet or anything, but I personally know one, you have to want to get help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's really hard for them, especially coming from a military background, for them to say, I need help. So do you guys do anything for those people? Because I'm sure there are a ton of fucking guys out there that just have that mentality of, I don't need help. I don't need you. I don't do that. Do you guys go out and do any events or anything like that where you get to talk to a lot of these vets and maybe encourage them even more to come on board?
Yeah, I mean, we talk to a lot of vets and we have a lot of them, and for those that are kind of like standoffish or just don't want quote unquote help, we don't really put it out there as like help, dude. We just want to get you jacked. We want to get you jacked and healthy. Let us pay for a membership to a gym. Like take something for free, and along the way, if it helps you out, great.
Right.
So I mean, the hard part is a lot of these guys come back and they get put through these psychologist appointments and these transitioning out interviews that like are just dumb, and they lie their way through, and they end up screwing themselves in the long run. And so we don't want to. We always talk about this, just being really careful about like not making it seem like these guys, like they're not broken per se.
Right.
They're not like half of people. They just need a little extra. And so we try to really phrase it as more like let us just give you something, and hopefully it helps. And
right.
It almost always does. Like we never even the guys who come in and be like, dude, I don't need help, I just want to get jacked. Cool, dude, we'll still cover you. Halfway through the program, they're coming to us and telling us like, hey, I joined because I just wanted to get jacked, but it has really helped me realize that I needed this, or I needed help, or I needed this community, and it's changed to this. And so, I don't know, along the way, like, I guess it's nice for those who ask for help. I think they get better or turn their life around a little bit quicker. But in the long run, I think even just getting into these communities and realizing that there's people around them who are going through the same stuff helps them.
Yeah, man. And I wish I mean, when did you start this?
We started this in 2015.
2015. I wish I had known about it sooner. I mean, either way, it wouldn't have made the cut. But back when I was living in San Antonio, the box I was going to, we had a vet in there. And, I never saw anything weird about him. He didn't act weird or anything. He was a little standoffish at times, but nothing out of the normal. He would always interact with us and stuff like that. And I would see him every day in class. And one day he messaged Daniel on Facebook, which was, it wasn't out of the ordinary because they were friends. They liked each other's shit and stuff. But he messaged him like, hey, I really enjoy seeing Krystal at the gym. That really helps me. It motivates me to see that I can do better. I can do great things. And not too long after that, we found out that he took his own life, and it killed me, man. Like, it killed me. I was like, should I have done more? Should I have gone up to him and said something, or should we have responded to that message in a different way? Man, it fucking kills me all the time. There's too much of it. There's too much of it.
I mean, it happens more than I care to admit, and it's being someone who runs a program that's specifically made to try to prevent that. It breaks my heart every time. Ryan just lost one of his good friends that was actually going to start our program to suicide. He served with them overseas, and a week before he was supposed to start the new gym, he just took his own life, and it's been like that was really hard on Ryan, and it was really hard on me to know that we kind of, you always feel like you screwed the pooch, or you should have done more, you could have done more, but in the long run, I got to remind myself, and I had to remind Ryan, is that we're trying hard, and we're trying hard to keep ourselves in a place where we can help people. So it's not always, it's easy to blame yourself. I think that's why it happens a lot. It's a lot easier to blame yourself that you didn't do anything wrong, because we can internalize it and then kind of put the blame on us.
Right.
And say then to let go of that control and say, hey, I did what I could, and that's all I could.
Right. Yeah, that's so
hard.
True. Yeah, it is. It really is. And man, Kevin, with everything you're doing, like you make me feel like shit. Like, what am I doing in this fucking world to help? You're doing awesome things, man. You have CrossFit Watchtower. You have your nonprofit. You're doing good things, man. You're fulfilling your purpose. You seriously are. Like, you motivate the fuck out of me to go do something. I don't know what I need to do, but I know I need to do something, because I know I'm not helping as many as you are right now. You're fulfilling your purpose, man. You truly are. Trying
my best,
No, you are. You seriously are. For the people who want to go like your shit, they want to find out more about the nonprofit, they want to go to CrossFit Watchtower, where can they find you?
I'm easy to find. It's just at Kevin Ogar on the social media. Revelry is at the Revelry Project, and the gym is at CrossFit Watchtower. And my email is kevin@crossfitwatchtower.com or kevin@therevelryproject.org. I'm pretty slow to get back to emails sometimes.
And text messages.
Yeah, I'm not ready to respond. It's part of the wheelchair life. I look at a text message while I'm rolling, and I can't respond to it because I'm rolling, and then I forget about it.
Excuses.
Tons of them. I have one. I have them all for why I don't get back to people.
Well, there you go, guys. Kevin, thank you again, man. I learned a lot. I did. I mean, I know we're friends. We catch up when we see each other, but that there's still a lot that was in the dark between you and I, things that I didn't know. I'm so glad that you came on. I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was fun even just to get to chat with you, Krystal. I only get to see you like once or twice a year.
I know. You're lucky though. I mean, that's more than most.
I think all of us that work in this field have the propensity to like be really good and out and social, but then when we get our alone time, we take our alone time.
Oh fuck yeah. I know I definitely do, man. It's true.
I shut down when I get a chance.
Well, I can't wait to see you again, but I don't know when the hell that's going to be, but I can't wait to see you again. Thank you again for coming on. I truly appreciate it. People needed to hear exactly what you fucking said today. They needed to hear it. And if you guys are needing help out there, whether it be through that nonprofit that Kevin has, reach out for help, man. I know if you email Kevin, he'll be more than willing to help. He said he might take some time, but I know that he's more than willing to fucking help you if you need that help.
Anything I can do, if someone needs something, I try my best.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's another episode of the Unarmed Podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys tune in again next week. Y'all have a good one.